The dirtiest man in the world took a bath after 60 years and died. In today's modern world, where personal hygiene and cleanliness are of utmost importance, the story of a man who refused to bathe for more than 6 decades has attracted much attention. Amoo Haji, an old man from the village of Gori in Dejga Rural District, Farishband County, Fars Province, has achieved worldwide fame for his unique lifestyle. A man whose favorite food was rotten hedgehog meat, whose cigarettes were made from animal dung, who had not bathed in 60 years and yet had no illness to astonish doctors, finally died after taking a bath. He lived in an open-air brick hut on a diet of rotten pigs and had the habit of sucking animal dung and drinking water from a rusty oil can. He had spent more than 65 years without bathing. An old man with the appearance of a caveman who lived in an unsanitary and shelterless place in the village of Dejga, a part of Dharam Farishband district. His grey color with a thick layer of pus on his body makes him look heavy. Amoo Haji, an affectionate nickname given to the elderly, had an unusual and certainly unique life. The details of his life in his youth are not known, but in his older years he was respected by his peers. But this seemingly dirty man, when he talked to ordinary people, knew information that perhaps many of those same people did not pay attention to. He knew what the French Revolution was and what happened during the Russian Revolution. He said that they had made his life difficult. They harassed him and considered him the dirtiest man. Even some strange children threw stones at him, while the villagers respected him. No one was bothered by Amoo Haji's abuse, and Governor Farishband complained about the situation the media had created for him. Unfortunately, they had portrayed this man in such a way that it was as if they were dealing with a savage man, while if anyone talked to him, they would never tire of his kindness. Various reasons have been put forward for choosing this lifestyle. Some villagers say that he decided to isolate himself after a bitter experience, such as a failed love affair or the loss of a loved one. Over time, he distanced himself from people and preferred to live in the heart of nature. Interestingly, Amoo Haji himself believed that cleanliness causes illness and considered a natural life, without the interference of detergents and hygiene products, healthier. The sad irony of the story is that in the end, it was only after the concerned villagers took him to the bath to wash that he fell ill and eventually died. Amoo Haji's lifestyle was very unusual, and this attracted the attention of the media. Eating, he often used the meat of dead animals for food. Some of the youth and teenagers of Dejga brought Amoo Haji chickens, cats, foxes, hedgehogs and even dead snakes. He buried these animals in a pit around him, and after a few days, he would half-cook them with a fire that he lit in this pit and eat them with a special appetite. His favorite food was rotten hedgehog. With his unusual and disgusting diet, Amoo Haji had the chance to survive for more than 9 decades. Amoo Haji avoided eating any healthy and fresh food and believed that if he cleaned it, he would get sick. He believed that the most delicious food was dead and rotten animals. This elderly man, who is said to have avoided people and society and chosen a corner of solitude and isolation due to an emotional problem that occurred to him in his youth, lived for years under a roofless place and spent his time outdoors in heat and cold. Drinking water, instead of clean water, he preferred to use dirty and muddy water. Amoo Haji would then finish his meal by drinking rotten water from a rusty can with various insects floating inside. His glass was a 4.5 kilogram oil can, and he drank nearly 5 liters of water from this can daily. Cigarettes, it is said that he smoked many cigarettes daily and even put several cigarette butts in his mouth at the same time. Shelter, he lived in a mud hut or holes in the ground. Amoo Haji spent most of the year in a hole resembling a grave and lived in the winter in a simple 4-walled hut that the villagers built for him. Clothing, he wore worn-out, multi-layered clothes that were never changed or washed. The way this man dressed in Dejga Rural District, where the temperature is close to 50 degrees Celsius, was surprising, because he would wear all the clothes that the people of this area brought him, after cutting off the sleeves of his shirts and the legs of his pants with his teeth. Personal belongings, his living belongings included a club that used to be a car axle shaft and weighs 17 kilograms. This strange man's teacup was a discarded helmet and some old vegetable oil cans that the children of this village used to pour water into for him with a torch. Amoo Haji also had an exceptional pipe that consisted of a 3-inch water knee into which he poured animal dung, excrement, lit it, and puffed on it, and with each puff, a thick smoke came out of his mouth. During the cold Iranian winter months, he wore an old, worn-out helmet to keep his head warm. Despite not washing, eating rotten meat, and drinking dirty water, his health remained strong until shortly before his death in 2022. Earlier that year, a team of doctors led by Dr. Gholamreza Molavi, a professor at Tehran University of Public Health, ran a series of tests on Amoo Haji, including tests for infections such as HIV and hepatitis. Surprisingly, he did not suffer from any chronic diseases. Dr. Molavi was surprised to find that Amoo Haji was not suffering from any bacteria or parasites, except for trichinosis, a parasite that is transmitted by eating raw meat and causes widespread infection. Dr. Molavi concluded that Amoo Haji had been able to stay healthy for so many years because he had developed a strong immune system after decades of living in extremely harsh conditions. The last bath, and perhaps the end of the road. However, the people of the region had a special respect for him and were considerate of his condition. Amoo Haji always avoided baths and water, so much so that a few years ago, when the young people of the village tried to provide him with a bath, he ran away. At that time, a group of village men voluntarily took him to the river near the village to wash and bathe, but when Amoo Haji realized their purpose, he threw himself out of the car and refused to bathe. He stated that the reason for his avoidance of water was the fear of getting sick. Until, in another attempt, the villagers took him to the bath again to wash. It didn't take long for him to fall ill and finally, at the age of 94, he gave up his life. He had never married.